Moving on to Japan, looks like Sunday's election will be a shoo-in for Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's ruling coalition government. Opinion polls show Abe's Liberal Democrats and their main ally, New-Komeito, will win an absolute majority in Japan's upper house of parliament. This would mean the Abe government controls both houses and can push ahead with its program to reinvigorate Japan's limping economy. But Abe also has big plans in other areas. Most notable is changing Japan's pacifist constitution. What might that mean for Japan and its neighbors? To tell us, we have Dan Sneider from Stanford University. Sneider is Associate Director of Research at the Shorenstein Asia Pacific Research Center. Welcome back to LinkAsia, Dan.
Thank you.
Now, first, why does Abe want to change the constitution?
Well, this has been a stated goal of the Liberal Democrats really since their inception in the mid-1950s. They've had the idea that the Constitution was imposed upon them by the United States during the American occupation, that it doesn't really fit Japan's own self-conception, and that they want to remove the restrictions that were put on there by the Americans, particularly on Japan's military role, the so-called Article 9 of the Constitution, which says that Japan cannot use war as an instrument of national policy. But Abe in particular, personally, has had this as a cause for his entire political life. And he has tried before, when he was prime minister in 2006, 2007, to try and push this agenda, and he failed. And it's believed, and he certainly has made it clear, that he has not given up that goal.
Now, how about Japan's neighbors in Asia, though? Does this proposed constitutional change worry them?
Well, it does, because it revives these images of Japan as a militaristic country, even though I think that's to some degree exaggerated, even in the case of constitutional revision, and because it's associated with other views that Abe and some of the right wing of the LDP have expressed about the wartime period, denial of Japan's responsibility or guilt for war crimes, and a sense that Japanese pride really requires them to reverse the post-war order that was imposed upon them, and all those things, so that the linkage of this kind of historical revisionism with the constitutional revisionism really creates a kind of sense of apprehension amongst Japan's neighbors, particularly the Koreans and the Chinese.
And Dan, what about the U.S.? Is it your sense that the U.S. is quietly pleased with Abe's proposals to change the nature of Japan's self-defense force and allow it more latitude to operate outside Japan?
Well, the U.S. is supportive of the idea of Japan playing a wider security role in the region, of broadening the interpretation of the Constitution to allow for Japanese forces to act not only directly in their own self-defense, but in support of an ally like the United States. But the U.S. doesn't take a formal position on constitutional revision in Japan. They regard that as an internal matter. And there's an argument that you can do this by reinterpreting the Constitution without revising it. And so I don't think you necessarily have to accomplish the goals that Americans would like to see accomplished through constitutional revision.
It seems that Abe may face the biggest battle to win support for this within his own country. He's promised a referendum on the Constitution. Is he likely to win? Polls show Japanese are highly skeptical of having a standing army.
Well, the LDP has proposed, what they want to do is to change an article of the Constitution, Article 96, which requires a two-thirds vote of the Parliament and a referendum by the population to pass amendments to the Constitution. They want to reduce that to a simple majority, and that will make it easier for them to push these things through. I think that when you get down to specific issues and you do polling in Japan, you find there's a lot of resistance to some of these changes. There's support for the idea in principle that the Constitution should be revised, which it never has been in the entire post-war period, but not when you get down to things like Article 9 or changing the role of the emperor. These are some of the things that the LDP proposes. Then the support drops off significantly. So I think this will trigger a debate in Japan, and that's a good thing. If the LDP decides to go ahead and push on this front after the election, I think they're going to meet some resistance, and we'll see, what they're able to accomplish when they have to get popular support.
Interesting times ahead. Dan Sneider, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now on U.S. airwaves. a global channel of uncompromising stories. World news, documentaries, entertainment, and culture. Link TV, connecting you to the world. For more information, visit linktv.org.